It's been a crazy start to the 2026 playoffs, and we're just getting started. Rob, how you doing, man?
Get a lot of games going. Some of them not going the way I predicted. So
Yeah, so it's been very exciting so far. These first 2 to 3 games, or mostly 2 games. We're getting the third game started today, but um, man, for different reasons, various reasons. Whether you thought that team was going to do well or not, some surprises, some shockers, and like whether it's the team that's well, we'll get into it. I mean, it's
yeah.
just been amazing so far up until this point, man.
I think
Um,
the only bad thing about the playoffs has been how many subscription services you need to watch all of
yeah.
them. So
Well, I mean, what is it? Is it three? Three different primary
Peacock, yeah, Peacock,
ESPN?
Prime. So having to flip between ESPN, yeah. So I mean, the average, right? Like you kind of got onto TNT, and that was it, and you got all your games that way. So
You
a
know,
little different this year.
now that we've seen, real quick before we get started, now that we've seen kind of the broadcast from each of the networks, do you have a favorite?
I do like the Prime broadcasts. I enjoy their after show. Peacock though, I love the theme. Like
I
they
like.
take you
I
back to
think
the old
Peacock's
MVs
my
theme.
favorite. I like the
Yeah.
nostalgia.
I like that. I like the Prime broadcast. I think the teams that they put together for half and then the after show. I enjoy hearing them. I think they're much more set in just basketball talk. I think when you had like the TNT show with Kenny and Chuck and Shaq, you were getting some comedy with it, and then they kind of talked about basketball in between. I think
All over the
now
place.
the
Each
you're
other.
getting all of the space. I love seeing all the great stuff. And you got like Blake Griffin, Udonis Haslam, Dirk Nowitzki. You got was it on Peacock? Are they doing T Mac and Vince? You've got them on there. I can't remember if it's Prime or Peacock, but I mean I'm enjoying seeing a lot of the greats on there. It's cool to watch them and have them kind of talk through the games. But for me, Prime so far I think has been good, except for the snafu in the play-in where they
Oh,
cut
when
out cut out for a few seconds on the end of the
difficulties,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, that's something that you can't have happen at this stage. But it's
Mhm.
been good.
Hopefully that was just a little learning
Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
It's all cleaned up now.
yep,
Uh,
yep.
all right, man. Let's get into some of these games. So
Uh,
we're now 2 games in. We'll start with the East, and we'll just kind of go through them again like we did last time. So first team that we're gonna look at here, or the first series, Pistons versus the Magic. So right now they're tied 1-1,
yeah,
and kind of like in that they were the first team, right, to get kind of upset in a
yeah.
shocker there where Magic came out and it just seemed like they just punched the Pistons in the mouth and took it to them. Magic was able to come back and tie it up, but any, I mean, obviously that first game was a little. Well, I'm not really sure if it was a shocker. Some people are saying that maybe the Magic were playing like possum a little bit to get the Pistons.
Uh,
They were trying to avoid um, Boston. Well, I mean, what's your take on that?
I mean, they didn't look great against Philly in the first plan, so
Mm,
I think Orlando has just kind of been that all season. They have been Jekyll and Hyde, and had some really rough games, but have shown like how good they can be. I think after last year, a lot of people had them in the top four for the East this year, and they just underperformed all season and have had so much tumultuous issues with just like coaching and things like that. So to come out and win that first game in Detroit, I think that shows maybe a little bit more on in terms of like the health of the Pistons, and then in terms of like their inexperience. But I mean,
mhm.
they match up well with them, right? Like the Pistons are
Pretty big,
gritty and
yeah,
tough.
physical, yeah.
They're gritty and tough and physical, but the Magic are pretty physical. They're maybe not as tall as the Pistons are, but they are like physical. They're gonna get after you. Those guards are gonna like put a lot of pressure. And the thing for both teams, right, is you don't have a great amount of shooting outside of Desmond Bain for the Magic. So I think for Detroit, it makes it a little harder. And you got to ask Jalen Duran to do more stuff. Like he is a real physical big, but he's not as mobile as you've got Bankero and Wagner on that side, and then Wendell Carter.
Yeah.
I think him and De Silva can do a good job. So it's a tough matchup for him. Detroit comes back and evens it up, but I think That was a shocker. I think most people had the Pistons probably getting through the series pretty handily. So to see them lose the first one on their home court, I'll be anxious to see now what they can do in Orlando after losing the home court advantage. So.
All right. I think last time when we talked about our predictions, you had what was it? Was it the Magic? You had the Pistons 4-1 or the
Yeah,
Magic?
I had the Pistons 4-1. Yeah.
I don't know why I wrote down the Magic. Oh, I don't know what's going on that night, but yeah,
I
yeah.
think they match up well with them, but not that level. Not enough to pull an upset.
You sticking with it? 4-1?
4-1. I think they'll be fine. I can see them dropping one in Orlando, but I just think they're too physical on there, and I think the Magic will show up how they've shown up a lot of the season. So if I'm the Pistons, I'm not worried. You don't want to lose that game, but I'm not super worried about it.
All right. I had Pistons 4-2, so I'm actually feeling pretty good about it right now.
Good.
All right. All right. You want to go ahead and just keep going?
Yeah. Let's knock through them.
All right. All right. We got, all these 8 games. So, second series here is the Celtics versus the 76ers. Maybe a shocker as well that the series is tied 1-1 right now. I think we both thought this would be kind of a lot closer.
Yeah.
For various reasons, but obviously Embiid's out. So, what have you thought of 76ers? Let's start with them. The 76ers. What do you think about what they've been able to do?
You get Edgecombe, Paul George, and Maxey getting to play downhill. The lane's open, and I think like as great as Embiid is, he's sort of a ball stopper on that side, right? He's going to get it. He's in a kind of triple threat, pivot, jab, and get you a shot or a free throw. So I think it's opened their offense up a lot more. They're running. Tyrese Maxey is amazing. He's looked really, really good, especially with some of that defense of Boston and Derek White and all those long guards have been on him. So he's looked really good. I think if you're Boston, like you're upset you dropped that second one, right? When you really want to try to make this a short series, but it's wide open now going to Philly. I think that's the scary thing, right? Is like you got guards for Philly who are playing with confidence, can score the ball, and they're going to run and gun with you. And as Boston is, like you're going to kind of live and die by the three, right? So you got to get out there and jack them up, and you're already not a great rebounding team. I think Philly's just done a good job with Drummond, Oubre, and some of these other guys at kind of playing on the offensive board. So be anxious to see where it goes. I think ultimately the Celtics will still win the series, but I think it's a lot closer. And for them, Philly being a 7 seed, the talent they've got is not a 7 seed. So I think that's, that's tough for the Boston to have to match up with.
I'm most impressed with VJ Edgecombe the other night.
Yeah,
30 points,
really good.
Rounds by a rookie, and like I don't know when's the last time I've seen a rookie do that. 30 and 10, first round of playoff, playing against the Celtics and Boston.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. That I think 76ers they got him one. They as far as like a rookie for the future. What do we have here? I had this series going 7. I had Boston winning it, but it looks like it's going to be that type of series that's going to be back and forth the whole time. They're going back to Philly, so as a Sixer, you got to feel pretty good at where you're at right now. Able to split it in Boston and going back home. I think Boston's, not going to lose 2 in a row in Philly. They're just too good, but this could be a little back and forth the whole way, and it'll probably what I thought the whole time is probably going to come down to that last game, and
not going to be an easy out for them for sure. So,
but that stinks to be the 2 seed here and draw the Sixers and just you wanted a series to kind of tune up, warm up for the rest of the playoffs, and you end up kind of in a dogfight. But that's how a lot of these series are turning out anyway. I mean, they're not the only one.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's go to one. We actually just saw this series.
Yeah.
We just saw game 3. The Knicks are actually trailing the Hawks. Hawks lead the series 2-1. And a lot of New York fans thought, the Knicks would come in and sweep Knicks in 4, but right now they're trailing 2-1. Um, I think you saw most of this game, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the Knicks just they really struggle with scoring when Brunson's on the floor. Um, I'll say this: Cat has been aggressive for them, but the Knicks have not shot the three well. And Atlanta, I'll say this: Atlanta looks sloppy. Game one, again, a young team, no playoff experience for the most part. So game one, dropping that and not looking great. Game two, come back, get a lead, win. Now in game three, losing a lead late, coming back, winning it in the end. I really like it. Atlanta's got experience from CJ McCollum, and then they got some really great defenders and like
Hmm.
3-and-D type wings, right? So they are just playing really, really well. A lot of and they're not shooting great. I think today they shot pretty well from three, but again, not great in the first two games in New York. So scary for Knicks fans. I had
Hmm.
Knicks 4-2 for this series, so I think they're still in a great spot. I think they're going to come out with a game plan the next to take game four. But man, they've let some slip by. Especially losing game two there, and then coming back, taking the lead late, and then losing that in game three. So a lot of momentum, and you don't want to give that to a young team. So and for New York, I think they're on the clock with this team and the
Hmm.
cost and ownership to what they want to do. So first round exit, I'd say there's a lot of people that are on the line after this. If they can't, number one, they can't get probably to the finals, but they get out in the first round. I think there's a lot of questions that Knicks ownership takes a look at for next year.
Okay. Um, CJ McCollum, man. Um, no Trey Young. This is I don't know. Is it more of the pieces around in Atlanta, or is it the point guard? Or I know like that, especially when I was watching Game One, CJ McCollum was just taking it to Brunson. Brunson could not stay in front of him, which I don't think he would be able to stay in front of Trey Young either. But you
Yeah,
know,
I,
is
I
it because is it addition by subtraction here, or is it
you're
more
talking.
the team
Trey
that?
Young was running and throwing lobs to Clint Capella and John Collins. I don't think he had the type of 3-and-D players around him like this. I think CJ McCollum would have been a great fit around Trey Young. That would have been a fantastic to have him. And then I just think, yeah, like Trey Young was small. They hunted him on defense, and it's kind of what the Hawks are doing now to Jalen Brunson. Like they're going out there, getting him in a lot of pick and roll action to make him guard, and that's again that's not his forte. I think he does the best job he can, but CJ McCollum is just more presence, less style, right? Like Trey Young was shooting fadeaway threes and
Yeah.
slick drives, where CJ McCollum's getting to his spots in the mid range and knocking those down, and it's proved really good for them. So
Okay. Yeah, and it looks like Kuminga had a better game too, so that definitely helps.
he's looked a
Uh,
lot better. Yeah, he's looked
yeah.
a lot better.
Okay. Hold on, real quick before we move on. You had Knicks in six.
And Nixon six,
How you
yeah.
felt about that?
Um, I'll say this: I picked Nixon six. I would love Atlanta to take this. I'd love to be wrong. I just think they're the overall better team, and I'm going to stick with it. I don't think anything's going to change. I think they're going to come out with new game plans and play harder, and I think some of the inexperience from the other players on the Hawks will start to show. So
Okay. I had a Hawks in seven, and at first I was maybe regretting it a little bit, but
yeah,
I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. So we'll see. We still got a lot more games to play. So let's move on. So the Cavs and Raptors. Cavs currently lead 2-0. Or yeah, right, 2-0. Um, they're playing tonight.
yeah,
It looks like a close game, right?
yeah.
So
It's Toronto up six currently, 8 minutes to go in the fourth.
all right,
Um,
so potentially Raptors could maybe get a win here tonight. But what's kind of been the story in this series so far?
the Cleveland showed up. I think Donovan Mitchell and James Harden have both kind of led the way with this. Donovan Mitchell's looked good. I think he's shown like the scoring that they've needed. Mobley and the bigs there for them have played really well along with the supporting cast. I think a lot of it, Toronto has not shot the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
from three. And they've struggled with turnovers in these first two games in Cleveland. So it'd be great for them to squeak out a win tonight. I think Scotty Barnes has played well. He's had extra attention from the Cleveland defenders. But this one I think I had Toronto in 7. I thought they would be a little more evenly matched here. But I think if you traded home games the whole way and Cleveland won out, I think it's there. I think both
Yeah.
teams here are similar. I think, obviously, at the end of the day, you got Donovan Mitchell against Scotty Barnes, and I think Donovan Mitchell's just outplayed him. So,
Okay. Yeah, I had him in 7 too. So, uh, yeah, I completely agree. They might just hold serve at home and then
yeah,
be up to 7. I will say, out of all the games, like all the series,
yeah,
this is probably the one that I'm like least excited about. One of them.
yeah.
I don't know.
This is
At least,
like
at least the
this is
East
like
match.
Orlando Cleveland from last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely the series that every game is going to get your NBA TV uh, viewing instead of your Prime or your Peacock. So
Yeah, like I, I don't know. I guess I guess either one of these teams they would play. They would play. Who is it? Cavs, Raptors. So the 4 they would play
they'll play the winner of Detroit and
Detroit and Matt. So I
Orlando.
guess either one of these teams could actually maybe get past the second round too and make it to the
Uh,
conference finals. So that's
uh,
considering I'm not too excited to watch them. I mean, there's somebody that can show up in the conference finals. So I mean, that would be I don't know. The Cavs get it
yeah.
together and beat. I think they could beat either the Pistons or the Magic.
Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland's got the talent. I just think putting it all together for them that they haven't been able to do the last few seasons. This is another one where does that team blow up if they don't have the type of postseason run that they need, right? Like Donovan Mitchell coming
Hmm.
from early round exits with Utah to kind of where they're at now. I think it's one to see, and then just James Harden continue kind of the postseason defeats that he's had previously, right? I think he doesn't have to be the man here, but he's definitely stepped up. I think he's looked good in the first few games. So I would hope to just see a more competitive series overall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how it goes in the next few rounds. So, or at the end of this series. Well, let's switch sides, switch conferences here. So,
Um,
um, let's look at the Thunder and the Sun. So, uh, OKC leads 2-0, and you would think like this is kind of a boring series also, but there's actually a lot of drama, kind of following this series. A lot of talk about Shea and foul baiting, or also just the Suns in general not getting calls.
yeah,
There was it Devin Booker getting called for technical because he was going out of bounds and threw like the ball blindly behind him trying to save it. It hit Jalen Williams. And then I think Alex Caruso went and told the refs, like, hey, that's a technical. And they gave him one. And uh, Devin Booker had some choice words for the refs after the game. And we've kind of seen this before with
um,
players coming out and calling out um, officiating, and I guess maybe it's worked a little bit. What what do you expect? The next game? Well, yeah. So the first 2 games were in OKC. Now they're going to Phoenix. Maybe they'll get some whistles there. Well, what do you think?
I mean, OKC is just a better team, right? And not to say, yeah, there's been some drama around calls and the continued kind of, I'd say flailing from OKC's players and unnatural shooting forms that have been said to supposed to be called versus like what Phoenix is there. I'll say this: I've watched Devin Booker a ton. Um, there's a lot of unnatural shooting motions. I don't think the calls he was referencing involved that, but I've watched him enough in the playoffs to see his foul baiting, and I think it's just become a part of the culture. But I think most people would say yes. Like for OKC, it seems to be exacerbated that they are allowed more. I would say more so when I watch is the aggressiveness on defense that they are allowed to play versus what you see other teams play. So But other than that, I mean, the OKC's role and how OKC is, right? Like they get up and down the floor, they pressure you, and they lead you into turnovers or bad shots. And I think Phoenix has kind of played into that in a lot of spaces. Dylan Brooks has played really well. I think he's kind of he's been able to find this season at least a lot of that scoring presence that I don't think people really knew him for. Um, and then they just haven't made OKC feel uncomfortable in a lot of ways. Now OKC again, they've struggled when they've had to go outside of Shea. I think game one, he shoots bad from the field, shoots 17 free throws. I think uh, the Suns shot like 18 free throws that game, so that speaks more
Yeah,
of the testimony of it. So they've made him feel uncomfortable, made him miss. But I think if you're not keeping him off the line, there's no point in it, right? Like that's what he wants to do. He wants to get there. I hope that Phoenix can go in and steal something, in Phoenix and play better. So it'd be interesting to see. I think overall, right? Like I don't know if I had them 4-0 over it. I just don't think if OKC just rolls in the first round. So I don't see any way that they're going to combat that or have the scoring power to do it. But everything Devin Booker says is valid.
yeah. What about yesterday? Jalen Williams, he came up hobbled with his hamstring, pulling it. They said he has a grade 1 hamstring pull, I believe, or strain.
Yeah.
Uh, does it matter? Like for this first round, does it matter?
I don't think it matters the first round. I think it gets dicier for them when you get into the semifinals and the conference finals. That's a all-star player, all NBA player from last year. And I think this year he's been a shell of himself. But for them, they've got pieces that can go and score. They're not at that level that he is. So I think you're not really worried about it until you get into a second round series, and
Mhm.
even then, right? Like if they, we'll talk about that series in a minute, but they go into a second round series against a Lakers team that doesn't have Luka or Austin Reeves still. I don't personally think that they're really worried about losing that when they've got other shooters and defenders on their team. Now if they're going to a second round series or in a conference final series against Denver or Minnesota or the Spurs, then yeah, like I think you're probably worried about not having that piece there. I think they are just fine for this series without it.
Okay. Um. All right. We'll move on to the next series. So, um, next one's with Spurs versus the Trailblazers. A little bit of a shocker here, with the series being tied 1-1. Obviously, Wembanyama goes down. Game two with concussion, slamming his head down as he's driving to the basket, going for a spin move, and it's I think it was Holiday
So
down there and kind of pulled the chair from him, and also he got kind of caught up a little bit with his foot and tripped, and he was trying to throw the ball out, and then actually, didn't really have his hands under him and slams his head on the ground and gets up hobbled, and when you watch the replay, you can tell like, oh man, he's
yeah,
he's
yeah,
he's dazed and he's out of it. Um, I think they have him in protocol. What is it? Concussion protocol.
yeah.
Um, as of today, Thursday, signs haven't, symptoms haven't gotten worse. Tomorrow, I, I guess it's possible he can come back. What exactly do you expect from? We'll start with Wembanyama and his injury, and then we can get to the game. But you think he'll
Yeah.
be back tomorrow?
I would lean on him not playing. I think that the Spurs have always showed caution when it comes to this, and I would say if the NBA has any handling with it, I know that part of the evaluation process, he did the cardio. It looks like he's going to travel with the team, but I think it's a sign off by both Spurs doctors and league officials. So
Mm.
I would think that unless he's extremely in a really good spot that he will not play, and then maybe you look at like a game 4 return, which I think is I don't know if it's Sunday or Monday
I
that they
think
get
it's
stretched to.
Sunday. Should be.
So I think they would set that again. He's young. You look at that, but I mean, it's scary play, right? Like it. I think a
Hmm.
lot of replays looks like he was out cold, and you haven't seen that level of kind of injury and where he was. So scared for them. I think Spurs win game 1, double digits. it looked a little closer, I think, than it was. Game two, Spurs had a lead late, even with Wemby out for the majority of the game. I think he played 12 minutes, maybe.
They actually
Um,
went on a run once he went out because I think they were,
yeah,
yeah. Then
yeah.
they
So they were up 14 or 16 at some point. Lost that lead late, which has been a staple for the Spurs this year, in some games. So, I think the Spurs, you're a 2 seed. You went through the month of February without a loss and finished the season on a crazy run. I think you should be able to go and handle the 7 seed Blazers, even though they are super talented, and take at least one on the road and then come back home, and extend the series. So I think you should be in a good spot. I don't think you pressure player that caliber to play. Um, I'd say this, like Scoot Henderson's been the best player on the court
ooh
this
went
entire
off.
series. Yeah, he is
I haven't
shown
seen that
people.
Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody did, right? Like maybe he would have been the number 2 pick. I don't think anybody was flirting with Vic at number
Mhm.
1, but I think going into it, it was him and Scoot 1 and 2, and then Brandon Miller had a nice run in the NCAA tournament, and saw that. But I think Scoot's woken up a lot of people. He's looked super aggressive. He has looked like he has had a chip in his shoulder against the Spurs. So great to see. Like he seems like a great kid and has played really really well. But again, I think you have a 30-point game from him that you don't expect. The Blazers, I forget how many threes they hit, but they shot a great percentage in game two.
Picked
Spurs
up
were
slack per
seven
game.
for
Yeah.
yeah, Spurs were 7 to 24. And Blazers have gotten to the line, great amount too. But I think, again, great performances to win by 3, right, against the 2 seed. I think the Spurs are a great team, so I'd expect that they are able to go and get a win in Portland, even if Wemby doesn't play.
I will say this, I don't watch a whole lot of Portland, but they're a lot better defensively
Yeah,
than I realized. Like they got some size and they're pretty physical and
yeah,
um, you know, a lot of the things that typically are easy for us, like our guards getting to the rim. I would agree Castle and Harper can get to the rim pretty easily, but man, they got guys that can fly around in there and stop
yeah,
them. And like I remember there was a couple times Castle would go in and he does his decel going in there, and typically on everyone else he can get it, and one and score. But man, they made that move just look you
yeah.
know not as effective, and you know
Well, you're driving into Klingon 7'2". You're driving in Robert Williams 7 foot. You again even Adria, right? Like he's a 6'9", bruiser. Kamara, like there's some big guys, and then you got Scoot and Drew Holiday out there who are not maybe not from the height perspective, but they're tough and they are you're not getting pushed around by them. So it's a tough series. I think it's great matchups. Again, when he comes back next game or after that, I think you got a little bit of fight with the Blazers too. So
okay. I know originally you predicted what
four
did you
one Spurs.
4-1 Spurs. Still feel pretty good about it
Feel
considering.
good. I feel
Okay.
good. They played well without him all season. I think they were 2-1 against the Blazers this season, 3-1
Hmm.
without Wemby in all games. So, um, they shot 7 to 24 last game from 3. I don't think you see that again. I think they have not had a great role player game from Keldon Johnson or Julian Champagny just yet. I think De'Aaron Fox, you'll see be a lot more aggressive in game 3, along with Stephon Castle. So Luke Cornett also has been amazing. He's looked really, really good. I'd say this like 2 games, obviously very short game 2. I think Wemby in the series overall is a -3. And
Mm.
Luke Cornett is a +20 for them, which I think is the best in the series for either team. So I'm not sure with Scoop, but I think what I saw, Luke Cornett is the best net rating.
Would you put Mason in there or Plumlee or stick with Carter Bryant for if
Rotation
Wemby's out? Say this week.
rotation's got to get better. The Spurs have always, I'd say this, the Spurs like led the league in defensive rebounding percentage, but they did not look good in game 2 when Wemby was out on rebound the ball. I think Robert Williams and Klingon feasted. Now those are 2 really tremendous rebounders, especially Klingon. Um, I like Carter Bryant, because I think it gives you the edge offensively, right? Like the Blazers go out there and you basically all you can do with Robert Williams, right, is throw him lobs. Like he's not doing anything else. I know he steps out and he'll hit once in a while. Carter Bryant, I think, gives you the edge defensively. He just doesn't have the height. So I think they've struggled, but I would say I'm going to keep going with Carter Bryant. I think he's played well and earned that spot.
Okay. All right, man. I had Spurs 4-2 in this series, so um, it could still shake out, but hopefully Spurs pull it out tomorrow
Yeah.
with without Wemby. Let's move on to the game. There's actually this game's on right now.
Yeah.
The number 3 Nuggets versus the number 6 Timberwolves. Right now, the series is tied, but as far as they're playing as we're speaking, Timberwolves are up 32-22 at home. So this has been an interesting series, especially I can't even remember. Was it game 1 that Minnesota won, or was that?
They won game 2.
Oh, is it okay? Game 2. So they tied.
Yeah.
So Minnesota came back, tied it up.
Yeah, they're currently up.
One in Denver.
12 right now. They're up 12 in the second.
Okay.
Against Denver.
So this was actually one of the matchups that we look forward to the most this first round. And it's been back and forth. What's going on here? I mean, I think a lot of people thought the Nuggets would, well, maybe they still will ultimately win this series, but man, the Timberwolves, something about them that they just lick their chops when they see the Nuggets. Like, what is it?
I think they've had success. I think when you've got a bunch of guys who are in the 6'4" to 6'9", 6'10" range, can handle the ball a bit, I think you feel good against the defense of the Nuggets. I know, Nuggets have number 1 offensive rating, but you're talking. I think they feel like they can interchange well between Nas, Rudy, McDaniels, DiVincenzo. I think they feel really good about the switchability that they have out there. And I think like Rudy is mobile and strong enough to like make it difficult for Jokic, which he showed in game 2, right? Like he played him really well. What I've seen of game 3 right now is he's played really, really well too against him. So he's made it harder, right? I think there's a lot to be said about like Wemby when he guards Jokic, and Jokic is just able to move him more. Gobert doesn't have the athleticism, but he is strong enough to hold up against a lot of that. And he's a smarter defender, right? Like he's been doing this longer. He's a 4-time defensive player of the year. So they look really good. Ant has not played well. And he's been kind of nursing a little bit of a knee injury. Murray's not played well, and I think the supporting cast from Denver has not shot the ball considerably well. But I think I picked Denver in 7 over this series. I wouldn't be surprised either way. There's just a level of confidence that, like you said, Minnesota plays with when they go up against the Nuggets. So I think any other team, like they might have dropped 2 on the road, but when they go against Denver, they just feel really confident that they can make them work, and they're up double digits right now. I think the series is going to be really, really fun.
They definitely are confident, man. What do you think about McDaniels? They're talking trash after game 2. They tied the series up. They got their first win, and basically calling all of them out, saying that none of them could play defense.
Look, I don't think he said Aaron Gordon, right? I don't necessarily think like nobody's saying Jamal Murray is a stopper. I don't think saying that Cam Johnson like those they aren't like I don't think it's like it's not far fetched. Jokic is not a defender, right? So I think like that's a bit on the nose. I'd say like you're 1-1, right? Like you lost the first game like by double digits. You went in and stole one. I think like you're making them. It's a lot to back up though. You got to go back it up. So I think a lot of the comments said like this is a guy who just scored 14 in the series, but he's right? Like those players are not necessarily defensive stoppers, and McDaniels is known more as that. So good back and forth though. I like it. I think they enjoy playing each other, and I don't think they care for each other as a team. But this is a bit more animosity that I like to see. Like I like it. It's fun seeing some of that from them. That was a funny comment, obviously, to read and see how the Nuggets respond to it. So.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean the Wolves are up right now. It'd be interesting to see, especially if the Wolves win this series. I don't think anyone really counted on them winning, but I mean we're far from over here. But if
Yeah.
Minnesota does pull this off, this could change things a lot. So I don't know. I think what do we? You said you had the Wolves winning 4-3. I picked the same
I have the
or,
Nuggets winning 4-3.
or Nuggets. Oh, I wrote Nuggets. I just said that wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've been getting it wrong. I don't even know why I wrote it down. I got it all messed up. All right, so let's go to our last series here. No Luca, no Reeves, no problem. Lakers up on the Rockets 2-0. And this is probably one of the most shocking series, and also one of the biggest bummers too, because uh the just the effort, just the what we're getting from the Rockets. This is not what we expected, and it's kind of a big bummer, disappointment that the Rockets just straight up stunk.
Yeah, man, I this is a legacy series for KD. I think he's won 2 championships, Finals MVP, an amazing player, one of the best scorers in terms of points, in terms of just eye value or eye test, right, in scoring. Um, what a poorly constructed team, though. Like I get Fred VanVleet goes out, former All Star guard. Again, we're talking about Fred VanVleet like he is a top 10 point guard of all time.
Mm-hmm.
That he would have come in here, man. The Rockets would have been blowing people out. They would have been the 2 seed if you. I they they Tari Eason lost his confidence. Jabari Smith loses confidence every other game. They for all the hype around their height cannot rebound. like Steven Adams goes out. That obviously is a hit for them. But then I mean, no point guard has hit, and then the coaching it's just been weird, right? Reed Shepard has played really well in some games, and then finds himself out of a rotation, and he's back. Amen Thompson is the best 2 point scorer, but everyone will leave him open outside of 5 feet, and he will be deathly afraid to take anything past that. So they just aren't constructed well. You had the whole issue with KD and whether his burner account was talking about the team Sengun, who
Mhm.
it just has a really bad basketball IQ on so many plays, and is an all star,
Mhm.
right? But makes bad decisions. Doesn't seem to fit well with KD at all. And KD is just like outwardly like upset with Sengun on so many plays. They've looked horrible. I think I thought, man, the Lakers with 41-year-old Braun and that supporting cast without Reeves and Luca are going to get blown out in this series, and it's not going to mean much for KD, but they're going to get blown out, and then the Rockets get to come to the second round and get blown out by OKC. Um, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I would think that the Rockets would come together, but I mean, they coaching has been bad. They have not looked good again on the court together, turning the ball over. Non-shooters. I don't think Fred VanVleet coming back would help them at all. Like they just do not look like a good basketball team. I'd be very anxious to see like what are the personnel changes that happen for next season with them. There's got to be something Katie is whispering into ownership's ears with what's
Hmm.
kind of gone on with them. But yeah, they've been horrible, man. And the Lakers, they just haven't. LeBron has looked amazing. He's looked young. He's
Yeah.
pump double pump reverse jams on the break.
These other
Um,
guys though, like Kennard and
yeah,
Rui,
they've shot the ball how they need to shoot it, right? Like
mhm.
they've not like been super impressive, but they've gone out there and done the things they need to win. Again, I don't think they have enough firepower, and that team's good enough to put up a fight against a Thunder team in the second round. But I mean, they've looked so good over where I thought they were going to be. I really thought this series was not going to be competitive from the opposite standpoint.
Okay. Yeah. Um, man, you're already talking about next season for the Rockets, man. You just totally we both starting this, we both had Rockets winning 4-1. Um might be the one that just totally bit us right there. Just
Yeah. I get there's a lot of series. I just don't see it. KD looks like he is done on a lot of plays. He looks like he is absolutely not interested in the rest of the season. So
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Lucas should be coming back. Reeves hopefully after that, and you get Luca back. You could. I mean, you got a shot. That guy
yeah,
carried the Mavs. I mean, yeah, the Mavs to the finals. So, could be dangerous. If they could if it all
yeah,
lines up and he comes back. So we'll see. Lakers might just make light work of the
yeah,
Rockets, but they are going to Houston this next game, so
yeah,
maybe some home cooking can get them going.
yeah.
All right, so that's all the games there. So there have been some awards that were given out this past week. The big one this past week was actually Defensive Player of the Year, which Victor Wembanyama won. Um, you can't really say that this was a shocker. He won unanimously. Um, and if anybody picked against him, I think they would drug test them and be like, "What are you doing? You can't vote anymore." But uh, I don't remember who was in second. Was it Chet? Chet was
Yeah,
second.
finalists were him, Chet, and man, I forget the
I know
last one.
I know Rudy wasn't on there. He wasn't a finalist, and he did feel snubbed by that. Uh,
Yeah. Oh, him, Chet, and Sewer Thompson were the
okay,
were the
yeah,
three
yeah.
finalists.
But
Yeah.
Wemby just ran away with it.
Yeah, nothing close. Nothing close to it.
Um, we know how great he is. Everybody knows how great he is. They see the highlights. We let him. Was it stocks? Um, what I guess the question now would be, you know, how many more times do you see him doing this?
Um, you've got Gobert at 4. I think the style. I think Wemby gets 5 max because I think it will be the same type of kind of
Fatigue?
fatigue that you
Yeah.
get from everyone else, and I think at a certain point, let's say he's got 4 in a row, and it'll become he's 7-4, and that's an argument a lot of times is he should lead the league in blocks. Like he's that tall and athletic. I don't think there's anybody else that's going to come around and have that skill set.
He's so
But
much more than that though. Like the effort
yeah,
with that
well,
height.
the problem with him is at a certain point, he won't lead the league in blocks because people will not shoot against him. And I think you've seen that a lot already in his
Yeah, yeah.
first 3 years where he pushes people out of the paint. Like he literally will have teams on a 3-on-1 rethink going at him for anything. So I think like that will take away from it where you will see, you'll see a decline in probably some of those numbers. I think the next step for him is how can he seek out some of the things. I think I would love for him or the defensive schemes to allow for him to go out and kind of build the way like Bam Adebayo has, where he's a floater. And I think Wemby's done that in the second half of the season really well. I think the next thing for the Spurs and like for him is a lot of offenses now will build positioning where they are pulling Wemby into a corner, into a box, and the rest of the team can feed off of that now. So he might actually make Stephon Castle a better defender by allowing him to really get up into people even more so with some of the schemes that they're doing on offense. But he's looked really good, obviously, and I think like first unanimous defensive player of the year. I think you can argue he could have won this 2 years ago in his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
And did it. I think the Spurs record was probably the only thing that kept him from that. I think you could argue last year that he could have won it as well before he went out with with the blood clots. So again, you're looking at a guy at 22 who could be a 3-time defensive player of the year already, but much deserved. I don't think there was any question about where this was going to go.
Yeah, I think as long as he's healthy,
Yeah.
He's just kind of had some of these odd type of
Yeah.
injuries and
Yeah.
medical things happen to him, but there's no doubt the talent's there, the effort's there,
Yeah.
his mentality is there. Like that guy wants it.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Victor for
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year. We will go on to the next award that was that will. I'm not sure if it was it. Well, we'll talk about it anyway. But this next one stays in San Antonio anyhow.
Yeah,
It's Keldon Johnson winning the NBA Sixth Man of the Year. Um, it basically came down to him and a Jaime Jaquez
yeah,
from Miami. Some people still feel strongly about Jaime Jaquez winning
yeah,
it, but Keldon won. And if you saw the videos of him getting his award or being named Sixth Man of the Year, he's real emotional about it.
yeah.
This was a guy that was a starter, averaging uh, what was it, like 22 at one point.
4 years ago, he was averaging 22. Yeah,
So he's come a long way from that, and now he took a bench role and really thriving in that. And it's kind of it takes some maturity and kind of an understanding of the landscape to be able to do something like that. But he navigated it. The team loves him. He's played well all year. So he won Sixth Man of the Year. Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Keldon Johnson?
big body, man, big body.
Uh,
He navigated not just the move from like our scorer, right, and starter when seeing DeJounte Murray go, seeing Derek White go, and he became and now what he's the longest tenured Spur.
yeah.
Um, went through all of those changes. I think the big one too that you saw is he was in a ton of trade rumors for years. He
Yeah.
was the inclusion guy for every package that was looked at. Well, who can we pair with Wemby? Right? He was thrown into everything. So to keep that mentality, and then again, only the second Sixth Man of the Year award winner to ever come off the bench for all 82. I think Del Curry in '94, if
Yeah.
I'm correct. So stuck to that. I know a lot of the talk is he is second to Jaime Jaquez, who was number one in like almost every statistical category of BOs off the bench. But he started a decent percentage of the games this year as well. And I know it's not a team award, as people would say, but you got to look at it as he contributed to a number two team, a number two seed in the West from a team that was, well below 500 last year. So I think that played a part in a lot of what he did, and the impact just lasted, right? Like I get you're not counting where the seating was and where it finished, but like Spurs in the playoffs and Miami isn't. And I think that they are there because of the effort that he brought off the bench to lead that squad. So I think well deserved. Jaime Jaquez, amazing year, but just really, really proud for what Keldon was able to do. It again, it takes a lot to kind of put your ego aside and come off the bench for that. So
Yeah, I think he kind of, when he saw the writing on the wall, he knew whose team this was, um, you know, who was getting the keys to the team,
yeah,
and he just kind of embraced his role, and they say he's the heart and soul of the team, so he wants to be that energy guy, and he's kind of always been that, but he kind of owned it even more, being the guy that all
yeah,
these guys look to.
yeah,
All the new guys, making people feel comfortable, being the energy guy, making sure that everybody's just bringing that energy and just as much as he is. So, um, there's different ways to make an impact on the team. He found his way, but not just on the court, which he does, a great job. He has that like patent, down low little
yeah,
hook shot that he does, which he got really good at it. And
yeah,
last year he was a lot thinner. This year he looked like he put on some weight, and I think that actually kind of helped him out with
yeah,
the
yeah.
play that he does. So,
Big
uh,
body.
yeah, he was super lean though for what was it last season. But it looks like he kind of like put the weight back on, and it
Yeah,
served him good. So
that
he's
the bald
come up,
head.
and then the bald head too, right?
Yeah, got the
Um,
baldy.
Yeah, so you can, I mean, to even do that, you can tell he's in a good space.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
be spontaneous and be
yeah,
like, let's shave our heads and just bring the
yeah.
energy he does. So you
Just a
can,
great guy. Does a lot in the community as well. So just yeah, fantastic to see. Video was really cool to watch. Him with his family getting the award. So
yeah. Well, congratulations to him, and we'll see what he does in the playoffs, and hopefully that it kind of adds to his legacy with all this.
Yeah.
Kind of like Monty did in the playoffs. So hopefully he can
Yeah.
make the same kind of impact.
Yeah.
All right, last award. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander wins NBA Clutch Player of the Year. Okay, I don't. We know. I mean, he's a great player. I'm trying to recall. Has he won this before?
I'm not sure. I'm looking up. The history of it. It's a newer award. Than everything. I mean, overall, right? Like for him, total clutch points, right? For anyone. So it's within it's the last 5 minutes of a game within 5 points is considered a clutch. So 175 total clutch points. Almost 52% from the field, 52 made field goals, 21 assists, and then a 20-7 record. Obviously, they have led the NBA with the best record.
You know what?
For the entire year. So
you know what game I think cemented this for him?
Denver.
I was gonna say Boston. That Boston game.
Yeah.
That big shot there at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, but obviously he has. We named two different games. Like he has a ton of big moments. And those.
He's hit big shots, and I think the thing with other teams, right? Like he is that team's great, right? Like they have a lot of pieces, they flow, but who's getting the ball, right? I think even let's say if you look at the Nuggets, that Jokic is going to have the ball. You're not necessarily sure if he's going to take the shot, right? Because that's his play. Braun, right? The Spurs have a few guys that can do it. Boston's got multiple guys. Who's taking the shot for OKC. It doesn't matter. And the thing with him, I'll say this, like he's going to get to his spot. You can know that he is going to take a 2-dribble pull up going right, and you're going to get a shoulder or elbow shimmy, whatever you want to
get him off balance, man. He has incredible balance.
Yep, he is going to get the shot that he wants every time. It's going to be the same form and move, and I think you can't stop that. And I think 16 go ahead field goals in that time. So absolutely amazing job. Like he's tough. He's one of those guys, right? You don't hear it talked about. You hear the KD, the Steph, like who do you want to take your last shot? I mean, realistically, like he's putting up Jordan efficiency in this field. So
despite what people think, they call him free throw merchant. Getting all these free throws. SGA is a clutch player, and he hits big shots all the time. People think that he just gets to the free throw line and that's how he wins the games, foul baiter. But man, this guy's hitting big shots. You don't win. We named a couple different games where he's done that. So, NBA Clutch Player of the Year, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, is there anyone else that could take that from this year?
He was up against Anthony Edwards and Jamal Murray.
Definitely Shea. So it's definitely Shea this year.
So yeah,
I wouldn't take either one of those two over him
this
year.
Me neither.
I just, you just think of all the big shots he hit this year. So I mean, that's what it's well deserved this year, despite what you think of him. And if you have that SGA fatigue, but
yeah.
Guy showed up, he hit big shots, in the game, not just free throws. So, kudos to him.
Yeah, and it's a newer award, right? Like it came around. First recipient was De'Aaron Fox in 22 and 23 seasons. So he's only the fourth winner. So you had De'Aaron Fox, Curry won it the year after, Jalen Brunson, and then SGA this year. So newer award, but yeah, I mean he's done amazing. You talked about the Boston game. I remember the double overtime. Back-to-back 3-pointers against Denver to win it. And I think that game probably won him or put him over MVP status against Jokic. But yeah.
All right. So those are all the awards. We covered the games. I think right now it looks like Minnesota's got a pretty comfortable lead right now, 61-39 at halftime.
Yeah.
We'll kind of see where that goes. But
Toronto got their first win. So they put it out. Yeah, they extended it. They were up about 20 with a minute left. So they extended that out. So they now put it 2-1 for that series. And then yeah, it looks like, I mean, we'll see what the second half shows, but Minnesota's up big at halftime against Denver. So a couple of blowouts coming.
All right. So there's plenty more basketball this first round. We're only halfway through, man. So a bunch of great games. There's been a lot of drama this far. Imagine if we get to some of these game sevens, it's gonna be awesome.
It's been a great postseason, a great season. I think for everything they said about the league being down, and viewership being down, obviously the issues with refereeing and other rules and things, but great season, great race. I think what coach of the year still coming up, MVP obviously, and then the playoffs. The playoffs are stacked up, man. I think they've all been really good series to watch. So
okay, well we'll be here to catch up on it.
Yeah.
So for all y'all watching, thanks for tuning in to us. If you haven't done so, make sure you like and subscribe to this video. We'll catch y'all next time. See ya.
Peace.